Hi, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to read, and also to read specifically with Yazud. Before I read Yazud's bio, just to tell you a little bit about them, many of you seem to know them, and this will just be a reminder of all the great things that they do that I just learned about. I just wanted to say that, I was so excited to share this space with them because when their poems reached me, and I read so much great work, I just want to say that too. I was so excited by this particular voice, kind of jumping off the page. It was textured. It was what I would call sort of like performative, muscular, energetic, urgent. Like it was doing all these things that I love poetry to do, and I was excited. And I knew also that this was poetry that I was enjoying on the page. I was certainly enjoying the imagery, but this was poetry that I wanted to hear out loud. And I thought it's kind of amazing that that's exactly what my job is. I'm supposed to pick someone to kind of give voice to their work. So it was really exciting for me to get to know their writing. And the last thing that I'll just say is that I'm so excited by work that is kind of like you'll see and we'll hear in a second, like visual and formally innovative. I think that's something that really drew me in about Yazud's writing. It's sort of not just one or the other, but they kind of work together. I really felt like I was sucked into like a world, and so I wanted to hear more. So I just wanted to say that in public to all of you. So I'm going to read Yazud's bio. It's going to be very formal. I'm going to read it in my bio voice. So Yazud Brito-Milian is a fourth year here at the University of Chicago studying creative writing and critical race and ethnic studies. Yazud is a second-generation Mexican immigrant poet, essayist, and collagist born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They are currently based here in Chicago, where they're invested in the intersection of arts learning and abolitionist policy and legal work. They work as a museum educator with the Smart Museum of Art, supporting their public practice team and K-12 tours. Concurrently, Yazud is a mass incarceration working group fellow with the Posen Human Rights Lab. Their poems have appeared in Blacklight Magazine and at Skidmore College's New York State Summer Writers Institute, and I hope many other places in the future. They also make art with the Underground Collective, a collective of performers and multimedia artists on campus. Please welcome Yazud.
Whoa, okay, I definitely have to adjust this mic. I knew, but let me get up here and... Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Yes. Lovely. Okay, first of all, thank you for everyone who showed up. I see so many familiar faces, which is just such a, makes me so warm. And thank you for everyone who went into building this space and this event. Wendy Shu, thank you for your words and your cosign and your support. It's deeply affirming to have my work selected by you. The work that I ended up submitting and the work that you'll be hearing tonight is from A Sonidero's Dreaming, which is a bilingual kind of Spanglish project about the significance of music in my family and the way that music tries to bridge displacement and distance and create connection. I wrote this thinking a lot about the tension between state-sanctioned displacement, so borders, deportation, prisons, and also thinking about that tension between distance and boundaries as a way of creating love for one another and getting better at learning how to love each other. This project as a whole kind of goes into sonidero Mexican DJ culture, but also the ways that my own connections to music has changed throughout my life, which is why it's also referred to as a memoir. But yeah, I also wanted to, before this, give shout outs to people who have just been super significant in this work, because I really do feel like I could not have created any of the poems up here alone at all. I wanted to shout out my roommates who maybe a lot of you know, like Indigo, Chioma, Elise, Valeria, Andrew, David, Yara. I really feel like y'all have grown with me and helped me become a better friend and a better writer. And in a lot of ways, taught me what a kind of continual practice of love and ethic of love looks like. For that, I'm forever grateful. I want to shout out Lauren, Tomas, Charles, all the students who were inside students and outside students in Professor Kim and Cohn's mixed enrollment class at Stateville. Y'all are all so thoughtful in your ability to carve spaces of art and care and revision that aren't bound by the university and that don't kind of take up the ways that the university also can create spaces and do create spaces that often lack care in a predominantly white institution. And that's just a very real thing. But yeah, and alongside that, the undergrad collective, sorry mentioned, but I really need to reiterate, like, y'all were the first space to believe in my work before I did. And there's not enough ways that I could share love for that space and for y'all. And of course, my family, who will eventually be watching this virtually. Thank you for whoever is recording this. Yeah, love you, Mom, love you, Dad. Nelson, who's my second dad. Maya, Yali, Vicky, I love all of you. You all work too hard, and I wish all of you rest, including all of you in the audience. And wishing you always a room to dance in and so much laughter. But yeah, before I go into actually reading the pieces, I'm only going to be reading like about 5. But I wanted to go into content warnings too, just because of the reality that this like writing can also be really heavy and is also really heavy. And so content warnings are diaspora, displacement, body horror, family, gender dysphoria, misgendering, state violence, death, and vulgar language. If at any point you need to step out, please, I will not at all be offended. But yeah, and so with that, I'll just go into the work. A little bit about this image too this is the black and yellow Korg M50 my dad took with him when he crossed back to Mexico. So a lot of these pieces, a touchstone of that is this kind of diagram work / like diagram poem. Yeah, so with that, I'll start with mapping Lejania onto my dad's Korg M50. Sonidero, dime algo de mi tierra. Tell me how I became a 90s piano chime turned through line to the home I ran away from. So rockera pushed out the throat of my dad's black and yellow Korg M50 crossing the border. I can only hear my voice with an echo or crossfade after crossfade, so chingona. My lonely is rebajada, as in buried deep in soil and synth, and sometimes I'm scared of the people who can take me out of the world same way they put me in it. And I tell my baby sisters I'm not scared of colors, territories, street names. Sometimes I feel like the key to the pueblo. Sometimes I feel like the goodbye they forgot. So this next poem is one volume. I sit at my dad's Korg M50 and I touch the keys like I'm touching someone's hand. I keep the volume low enough to be unserious. The teethy soles of my Cortezes try to catch the same beat my dad's voice brought across the Mexican border to an American city. And my eager voice vomits all over the keys because I've never met a costeña beat I wasn't willing to swallow. And I would be lying if I didn't say I've lived in the belly folds of an accordion since my dad taught me the chords to Jenny Rivera's song about mariposas, immigrant metaphor of choice. And I would be lying if I didn't say I haven't tried to forget the words. 2, joystick. My sister and I soak in our pubescent shame as all the adults dance cumbia around us. We're in East Windsor, New Jersey. We're in the hole-in-the-wall salon under our 1-bedroom apartment turned 8-person home. Madrugada sends all the toddlers to sleep under fold-out chairs. My dad's band is playing. My dad's band gets all the borrachos and doñas drunk with nostalgia, and the sonidero shouts out my Dios Pueblo, making him king of land he can't touch. And the sonidero blots together their childhood with a classy, catchy hook and charisma and an air horn and arriba, la soledad. Paz for nationalistic hollering, gritos, and saludos to all the pueblos that boast themselves into cities. And the sonidero's throat must be red with all that greeting. And I used to say hi to my dad by bending the joystick west and east and west mid-song, scattering the chords into a question mark, just to get him to laugh. So, hi. Thank you. All right. So this next one is called Moses Sumney's Falsetto on the 55 on the way back from Midway Airport on the way away from home. If any of y'all know Moses Sumney's work, it has impacted me deeply. And so I ended up writing this song. Moses Sumney's Falsetto on the 55 on the way back from Midway Airport on the way away from home for my mommy. We go far to be close sometimes, and you talk of love, howling, a teardrop blooming, and aching, an electric guitar riff laid bare, and you say night isn't for children, and the city isn't for living, and there you are, and there we were, and I meant to say, and you sob into my hands, and there's a reason all creation stories begin with separation, and you say, studies say, being lonely is the equivalent to smoking 16 cigarettes. So I look at everyone on the 55 in the eyes, and I wonder what in love means. And you say, don't sit in your wet clothes, so I sleep in them. And you say, you don't need Lexapro like you need vitamins. And you say, they made me go to therapy, and I admitted there's nothing wrong with me. And I laugh, and I hug you from behind, and we dance. And we split into two, and we are phantom limbs, and I wish I said. And I imagine telling you my pronouns, and I sob into your hands. And you're a tsunami swallowing an ocean. And it's all seafloor and suburb for miles. And I want everyone on the 55 to try to hit the high notes, and I want us all to fail loudly, and you say, I love you too, girl. And my mouth overflows. Thank you. So this next one's called Where Am I Going? Where am I going for my papi and my brothers? Where are we? A bleeding border, a ghost ancestor mopping it up, another on lookout watching the sun. A stolen gavel mashes soft fruit to the music. They whisper some dreams stay dreams. They call the sonidera and ask her to make a sonido for sadness. Where are we going? A country where my mama's wounds can't enter. Land with water, food, peace of mind. Sometimes silence is its own music, like 2007, when Abuelito passed and love grew thicker. A land where not everything costs a whole body. A land where music gets so loud it harbors grief. That Teja's sun left burn marks on my face after stealing my half-brothers as the moon bore witness. And blue-red light, our blood glows black. Procedural safeguards collapse inward, and so send me back to my kin's killers. My burning country, ma, are we there yet? Where the sun is the same sun. Where I sleep, eyes sewn shut in a speaker's mouth. You sing soft, no country can hold us, no country can hold us. And I forgot to preface that this poem was inspired by this art, Morales' Undocumented Interventions, number 17. But yeah, with that, I think I'm at my last poem. And it's another diagram poem. It's called Arpeggiator. I don't know. Well, a lot of making this was also having to learn what a lot of these buttons do. And evidently, I had no idea what an arpeggiator was or what arpeggio was. And so it's kind of, each note is sustained and it's climbing upward and looping. It sounds wild, especially when it's synthesized. But that's a little bit of preface. 5, arpeggiator. Is this the idioma of the future on 8th notes? Or ancestors pouring out their guerrero necropolis into my nearby bodega, my nearby body? Is the sky communal? You think they leave headstone colors behind, and that's how paint gets made. And that's how graffiti made a home in ciudades, and how Oaxaca de Juarez became a painting on 4 notes, on resuscitated chords, each alone note running in time, my throat a guiro to scratch sound out of. my ear pressed against the piano's chest, my head holding the piano's breath. Korg M50 says, the music's too loud, I can't heal you. I say, I need you to know this isn't healing, it's recuperating. Korg M50 said, no, I said here. You think they leave headstone colors behind and that's how paint gets made? In every song, Abuelito's baby blue, jacaranda purple, hoja green, papaya orange, yellow white, iridescent yellow. For drum track, I love you, I say to the piano. I love you, I say to the piano. I love you, I say to the piano. Thank you.